Hello, people. This is Greg Joyner, representing Tennessee's 9th District, a candidate for Congress in 2012. I wanted to talk to you about a few things. One thing on the agenda, of course, always going to be war. The United States spends about $750 billion a year on defense, military spending, military industrial complex, bases, weapons, and so forth. Now, what would be interesting to know is that I think the other 12 largest countries in the world put together only spend about $540 billion. Now, that's insane to me, especially when you consider the fact that nobody is a real threat to this nation. There's nobody who's trying to attack this nation. China's not trying to attack this nation. Russia is not trying to attack us. And so there's really no reason to be using, $750 billion on weapons. Now, people are about to start a civil war over healthcare. Now, that's an interesting thing because last year, of course, you had a man by the name of Muammar al-Gaddafi of Libya. Now, Mr. Gaddafi, his people didn't have to worry about healthcare. They didn't have to worry about education or even housing for that matter. But for some reason, Mr. Gaddafi was taken down. Now, when Bill Clinton was president, they invaded Kosovo. They bombed Kosovo. When George Bush was president, they bombed Iraq and Afghanistan. Now that Barack Obama, a man of African descent, is president, they have now destroyed Libya, an African country. Probably easily the most advanced in, various areas of life, whether it be technology, education, water, economics, of any nation on the African continent. And they just basically sent them back, destroyed all the progress that they had made. But why is that? If you remember last year, Hillary Clinton, Susan E. Rice, the UN ambassador for the United States, President Obama, they came out trumping up the call against Muammar Gaddafi. He must go. Now, you haven't heard anything about Muammar Gaddafi in about 20 years, since Ronald Reagan was president. Suddenly now, all of a sudden, he's a mass murderer. He's oppressing his own people. He's got to go. We have to scratch our heads a little bit from time to time and start to think about these things. We have to be concerned with world affairs because world affairs do affect you. There's a reason why, you're paying over $3 for a gallon of gas. You have to be concerned with world affairs. You shouldn't be here in a little box. You should always, get involved in the broad spectrum because we are members of the human family of the planet Earth. But why was that? Well, Muammar Gaddafi came out in the last couple of years and he began to, and not only him, but other members of the Libyan government, but they began to gather and combine funds. The number I heard was about $90 billion. For what? They were trying to form a United States of Africa, similar to what the European Union had. They want to unite all the African nations, with a similar type of alliance. They want to have a unified African currency, just like the euro. They want to have an African currency. They want to have 3 banks, I think it was 3 banks, a central bank in Nigeria, and they were going to have China and Russia assist them with a satellite communications system. Now the problem with this is, it sounds good, it sounds beautiful, Africa's gonna progress. But the problem with this is, the plan did not involve Europeans having control of it. And in this world, you don't do anything without Europeans, United States, United Kingdom of Great Britain, Canada, France, EU, NATO. You don't do anything at all that they don't have control over. This is called colonialism. Now, in our government now, when I talk, if you saw another video I made, Redemption Nation is a renewal, a taking back of the people's power that the people are supposed to have in the United States. In our government now, there are countless individuals in the U.S. House of Representatives that have been in the House for at least since 1997. There are many others who've been in there upwards of 30 years. Now, politics, and this is the main criticism, and you know, if you were to take a wild guess, you know, somebody like me being young, you probably would guess that this is what people say about me. Main criticism I always get when I talk to people is, you know, you don't have experience. Let's use our heads for a minute, people. Politics is not supposed to be a job that you make a career out of. Understand that. The whole reason this nation was founded in the first place is to not have a system similar to a king and nobility, where only certain people get to run and they hold their position for decades at a time. That's ridiculous. The only experience you need to have is the experience of being an average person. Because when you have experience being an average person, now you can represent an average person. And the title of these offices is representative. Someone who wins an election is a representative of the people who cast their votes for that individual. Now, the reason I said that is because of the fact that, you know, we have older people that, you know, young people need to get out and vote. If you're going to tell people to vote, understand what system it is that you're taking part in the first place. You're not taking part in a monarchy. You're not taking part in a dictatorship. You're taking part in a republic. A democratic republic, to be specific. A republic is a form of representative government. Representative government means just that you have representatives holding office. You're not voting for a leader. You're not voting for a god or a judge or some kind of messiah, somebody supposed to come in, swoop in, save the day, and, you know, you're supposed to bow down and praise him. No, you're not voting for that. You're voting for a representative. But understanding something like that takes, you know, active participation in your society's affairs. And that's what President John F. Kennedy was talking about when he became a president and, you know, gave his inauguration address. And he talked about, you know, becoming an active member and you know, asking not what you can do for what your country can do for you, but rather what you can do for your country. Because quite frankly, you are your country. And you have to see it like that. When you don't see it like that, and you allow your elected officials, your office holders, to be controlled by other people. See, here's the problem. You let them be controlled by other people, people who are not you. When they're controlled by other people, you have a thing they have now called campaign disclosure. All politicians, people involved in campaigns, you know, when they're running, they collect their contributions. They have to disclose finance. You know, I haven't raised any money yet. But when you raise the money, you have to disclose your finances. When you disclose your finances, you're able to see where the money is coming from. PACs, which is a political action committee. You know, you have special interest groups. You have individuals, just regular people like, you know, me and you, who give to people's campaigns. And some of these individuals have hundreds of thousands of dollars coming from PACs. If you look at Mitt Romney, Barack Obama, John McCain, anybody, if you look at their contributions, you're going to see Goldman Sachs, you're going to see Time Warner, you're going to see General Electric. The fact is, people, if these big businesses are spending money to fund these politicians, they're not doing it for nothing. That's just how it is. Nothing is free. They're not doing it for no reason. That's why the rich always keep getting richer. Big, 9-figure companies, people, hundreds of millions of dollars, on into the billions of dollars. They don't pay the same taxes that you and I pay. There's reason for that. Some of us paying 25, 30%. Somebody like Bill Gates, these people get more and more tax breaks. They get, the rich keep getting richer. Reason for that is no matter who gets in office, they're paid for by, their campaigns are paid for by these same big businesses. When you see somebody with, he's on a commercial on every channel. He's got a billboard. When you ride down the expressway, you see a billboard out there, got a candidate's picture on it. These things cost a lot of money, Now, you didn't contribute to these people campaign like that. Where they getting this money from? So they absolutely have to pay these people back. It's just how it is. Ain't nobody spending, just spending money for no reason. They spending money for an agenda. They have an agenda, and that's what's going to happen. For example, if you get a car insurance company, and they get together and they say, well, look, you running for office, then we'll fund your campaign, but what we want in return is you get in office and you support legislation to make car insurance mandatory. Plain and simple. That's, just one example of how things might work. But Redemption Nation means that we actively participate in the affairs of our society. We actively participate. Now, what I'm pledging is, this is my vision, is that within the next couple election cycles, here in Memphis, Tennessee, we have city council and mayoral elections coming up in 2015. Obviously, everywhere there's going to be congressional elections everywhere in America in this year and as well as 2014. And we also going to have state legislative elections as well in 2014. So what I'm pledging is an alliance, a movement, a coalition, if you will, of young people, idealistic minds, preferably nobody over the age of 40, preferably. If we could link together and form a movement where we seek to take these seats when they become available, when the opportunity comes to run for office, if we try to take these seats and get in these positions where we can make some of the policy, then you'll see things change. But right now, voting is not going to get it done. Just voting and going home is not going to get it done. You have to hold your politicians accountable. But right now, as I said before, we're not producing our own candidates. But I'll talk about that a little later.